You just checked into your vacation rental, tired from traveling but excited to unpack and settle in. But before you get comfortable, there's one crucial safety check most travelers never consider: scanning for hidden cameras. Hidden surveillance in hotels and Airbnbs isn't just paranoia anymore. Recent investigations uncovered massive networks of spy cameras streaming live footage of unsuspecting guests to paying viewers online. These devices are getting smaller, cheaper, and easier to hide in everyday objects. The concerning reality is that anyone with basic technical knowledge can purchase sophisticated spy equipment online and install it in rental properties or hotel rooms. Here's how to protect yourself with a simple 5-minute security scan using just your smartphone. No special equipment required. Use the 80-20 method for efficient scanning. Most travelers don't want to spend an hour investigating every corner after a long day of travel, and fortunately, you don't need to. Criminal behavior follows predictable patterns, and understanding this psychology makes detection much more efficient. Privacy violators focus on areas where guests are most vulnerable: bedrooms, bathrooms, and changing areas. They're unlikely to waste effort monitoring entryways, kitchens, or common living spaces where people remain fully clothed. Think strategically about sight lines and privacy expectations. The bedroom represents the primary target for voyeuristic surveillance, particularly areas with clear views of the bed, dresser, or seating areas where guests might undress. Bathrooms, especially shower and toilet areas, require extra attention due to obvious privacy concerns. Based on criminal investigations and police reports, the most common hiding locations include alarm clocks and bedside electronics, television sets and entertainment centers, Wi-Fi routers and networking equipment, smoke detectors and ceiling fixtures, picture frames and wall decorations, stuffed animals and decorative objects, electrical outlets and charging stations, light switches and bathroom fixtures, air vents and ceiling fans, especially those positioned above beds. Your scanning strategy should prioritize these vulnerable spaces while quickly clearing low-risk areas. This focused approach provides maximum protection with minimal time investment, letting you settle into your accommodation with confidence rather than exhaustive paranoia. Identify suspicious object placement. Hidden cameras must be positioned strategically to capture useful footage, which means they need clear sight lines to target areas. This requirement makes them detectable through careful observation of object placement and positioning that seems unusual or unnecessary. Look for items positioned oddly or pointing toward private areas without obvious functional reasons. A smoke detector mounted directly above the bed rather than in a standard ceiling location raises immediate red flags. Alarm clocks on nightstands angled toward beds instead of toward sleeping occupants suggest surveillance purposes rather than timekeeping functionality. Electronic devices plugged into walls near bathrooms or bedrooms deserve extra scrutiny, especially if they serve no apparent purpose for guest comfort. USB charging blocks in bathrooms, decorative items positioned with unusual precision, or everyday objects that seem deliberately aimed at private spaces all warrant closer investigation. Pay attention to items that feel out of place for the accommodation's overall style or guest needs. A high-tech device in a rustic cabin, multiple similar objects in strategic locations, or electronics that seem newer or different from the room's general aesthetic can indicate recent installations for surveillance purposes. The key insight is that functional items have logical placement patterns, while surveillance equipment often reveals itself through positioning that prioritizes camera angles over practical utility. Examine power sources and connections. Battery-powered cameras exist, but most hidden surveillance relies on continuous power sources to maintain long-term recording capabilities. Inspect any electronic devices plugged into wall outlets, particularly those in or near private areas. USB chargers in bathrooms, power adapters without obvious purposes, or electronics that seem unnecessary for basic guest comfort all deserve investigation. Look for items with visible wiring or connections that seem excessive for their apparent function. A simple digital clock shouldn't require complex wiring setups, and basic decorative items typically don't need power connections at all. When objects have more technical complexity than their function suggests, surveillance capabilities might explain the discrepancy. Check for devices that have power indicators or small lights that suggest active operation. Many spy cameras include status lights that indicate recording, wireless connectivity, or power status. While some manufacturers design these lights to be subtle, they're often still visible to careful observers. Remove or unplug suspicious devices temporarily to see if they're actually serving legitimate functions for guest comfort. If unplugging a device doesn't affect room lighting, climate control, or obvious amenities, its purpose becomes questionable and warrants further investigation. Conduct manual inspection for camera indicators. Feel around suspicious objects for unusual bumps, raised areas, or texture changes that might indicate hidden camera lenses or electronic components. Look for tiny holes or dark spots that could conceal camera lenses. These openings are often perfectly round and precisely sized for optical equipment, differing from normal ventilation holes or decorative elements. Camera lenses require clear, unobstructed views, so any small circular openings in strategic positions deserve attention. Examine objects for QR codes or unusual marking on their backs or bottoms. Many spy cameras include QR codes for easy Wi-Fi setup. Test whether electronic devices function as advertised. Plug outlets that don't actually accept plugs, clocks that don't show correct time, or decorative items with unnecessary electronic components all suggest surveillance modifications to otherwise normal objects. Use mobile apps for Wi-Fi network detection. Many modern spy cameras connect to wireless networks to enable remote viewing and live streaming capabilities. This connectivity creates digital footprints that smartphone apps can detect, revealing hidden surveillance devices through network analysis. Download Wi-Fi scanning applications like Airport Utility for iPhone or Fing for Android devices. These free tools identify all devices connected to local wireless networks, potentially revealing surveillance equipment that appears as unknown or suspicious network connections. Activate Wi-Fi scanning features in these applications and look for unfamiliar device names. Spy cameras often appear as generic device names or technical identifiers that don't match normal household items. Position yourself near suspicious objects while running network scans to correlate physical devices with digital signatures. If you identify questionable network activity, try unplugging suspected surveillance devices to see if corresponding network connections disappear. Keep in mind that this method only detects internet-connected cameras and won't identify devices that record locally to internal storage without network connectivity. However, most modern surveillance setups use wireless connectivity for real-time monitoring, making network detection valuable for identifying the most commonly used spy camera configurations. Implement the flashlight detection method. Camera lenses reflect light in distinctive ways that can reveal hidden surveillance equipment even when devices are cleverly disguised or positioned in difficult-to-see locations. Turn off room lighting to create darker conditions that make lens reflections more visible against surrounding surfaces. Use your smartphone's flashlight on its brightest setting to systematically illuminate suspicious objects from various angles, watching for small, bright reflections that indicate camera lenses. Camera lenses typically produce consistent, bright reflections that remain visible as you change lighting positions, while normal surface irregularities create inconsistent or scattered light patterns. Consider upgrading from smartphone flashlights to small tactical flashlights or LED headlamps for better detection capabilities. These tools provide stronger, more focused light that reveals lens reflections more effectively, while being useful travel accessories for other situations. Two-way mirror detection and testing. Two-way mirrors represent another serious privacy threat that allows observers to watch guests while victims see only their own reflections. These installations typically require advanced planning and construction modification, making them more common in properties where hosts have extended access and privacy. Two-way mirrors are most commonly installed in bathroom walls facing showers or toilets, bedroom walls with clear views of beds, dressing areas and walk-in closets, spa facilities and pool changing rooms, and any location where guests routinely undress or engage in private activities. The gap test provides the most reliable detection method for identifying two-way mirrors. Place your fingertip directly against the mirror surface and observe the reflection. Normal mirrors have glass layers over reflective backing, creating visible gaps between your finger and its reflection. Two-way mirrors, however, show your finger appearing to touch its reflection directly. The sound test offers additional verification by tapping the mirror surface with your fingernail. Regular mirrors produce dull sounds because solid walls support them from behind. Two-way mirrors typically sound hollow or tinny, due to the open space required for observation from the opposite side. For the light test, turn off all room lighting and shine your phone's flashlight at the mirror from various angles. Normal mirrors simply reflect light back, while two-way mirrors may allow you to see through them slightly, revealing spaces or shadows behind the reflective surface. If any of these tests suggest two-way mirror installation, document your findings immediately and contact law enforcement. Create physical barriers for immediate protection. If you discover suspicious devices or simply want extra security without extensive investigation, creating physical barriers provides immediate privacy protection while you determine appropriate next steps. Cover or reposition questionable objects to block potential camera views of private areas. Small towels, clothing, or personal items can obstruct suspected surveillance devices quickly and effectively without requiring technical expertise or confrontational situations with property owners. Reposition furniture or decorative items to create visual barriers between suspected camera locations and areas where you'll be changing clothes or in private situations. This approach provides protection even if you're uncertain about actual surveillance presence. Document suspicious devices with photographs before covering or moving them, creating evidence for potential reports to authorities or accommodation platforms if your concerns prove justified. Know your response options. If you discover confirmed surveillance equipment, your response should prioritize both immediate safety and appropriate reporting to relevant authorities and platforms. Contact law enforcement immediately rather than confronting property owners directly about discovered surveillance equipment. Hidden cameras in private accommodations often violate multiple laws, and police investigation is more appropriate than attempting to resolve privacy violations through accommodation platforms alone. Avoid alerting property owners about surveillance discoveries until after law enforcement involvement, as this might provide opportunities to remove evidence or intimidate guests. Document everything thoroughly but quietly while maintaining normal behavior to preserve evidence integrity. Report surveillance discoveries to accommodation platforms like Airbnb or Booking.com as part of your overall response, but understand that these reports should supplement rather than replace law enforcement involvement for serious privacy violations. Consider whether immediate relocation to alternative accommodations is necessary for your safety and peace of mind, particularly if you're traveling with family members or staying in isolated locations where ongoing surveillance creates security concerns. Privacy violations in accommodations represent serious breaches of trust that affect not just individual travelers but the entire hospitality industry's reputation. By understanding detection methods and appropriate responses, you contribute to maintaining accommodation standards that respect guest privacy rights. Have you ever encountered suspicious items during accommodation stays that raised privacy concerns? What additional precautions do you take when staying in unfamiliar lodging? Share your experiences in the comments below. Your insights help fellow travelers develop better security awareness. If you found this privacy protection guide helpful, Please hit that like button and subscribe to Journey Tips for more practical travel safety advice. Share this information with anyone who frequently uses hotels or vacation rentals. These detection skills could protect their privacy during future travels. Thanks so much for watching. Safe travels, and I'll see you on the next Journey Tips.